Alrighty, how we doing, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Wolf, and welcome to my money shot flak build. Now, you saw a variation of weapons used during that little showcase on Troy there. I did put a spoiler at the start, more than likely, that it was a story boss, obviously. But I've been playing flak, and I've been playing this variation of flak for quite a while now, and there's a lot of nuances and variations and a couple of different things I want to talk about regarding sort of just the general best flak build in Borderlands 3. That is going to be regarding money shot, most likely, and there's a lot of nuances in regards to how to make that work. There's a few class mods, a few weapons, like the weapons I've been using, and I'll go over and showcase pretty much all of my thoughts that are humanly possible. So I'm going to start with weaponry, but before I do that, I'm going to show you what makes this whole thing work. Essentially, flak has something called leave no trace, which makes it so when flak scores a critical hit, there's a chance for 1 ammo to be added to the magazine. Which means that with a Jacob shotgun that only fires 1 bullet, it allows you to just spam fire over and over and over, like you saw me do at the very start with my Hellwalker here. That's called money shot in regards to like Borderlands 2. Now, that's called something completely different in regards to other industries, but you know, still. Yeah. So that allows you to one-shot bosses or kill bosses very quickly with Jacob shotguns, because it has a higher chance to proc the lower the magazine, as well as it procs based on the amount of pellets hit. Keep in mind, this shotgun shoots 10 pellets, so it's a 36% chance per pellet to load the magazine again, if everything works out correctly. Now, that's all well and good, but what allows you to critical hit so much? That would be fadeaway, which makes it so that you can fire 3 shots while cloaked, and each shot is automatically a crit. But with one of the augments, it allows you to just keep shooting. It doesn't end after 3 shots. It only ends after 8 seconds, or in my case, because I upgraded the duration of it, about 10 to 12 seconds-ish. So you can just unload a ton of damage into most bosses. Sadly, there's like phases in every boss except for like 1, which kind of sucks. But yeah, that's just kind of how it goes. It's really good for Circle of Slaughter and that sort of stuff as well, because the critical hits from a Jacob's weapon actually ricochet, which means that you killing a single target enemy will also kill all of the trash around it and nearby. This is a rather good build for leveling as well, because you can be the single target guy in your team, or if you're just playing solo, you can just delete bosses pretty easily. Gigamind, I think it was one of the bosses without phases, and I killed him in like 3 seconds. It was pretty good. So that's how the build works, and these are the weapons that I use with it. The pistol you saw me using that does all of the hilarious damage is a King's Call. This dropped off of Tyrene at the end of the game. And the reason this works so well is not only the little modifier it has on it, but you guys saw that when I hit a critical hit, all of these like explosive shots come out, and then they regroup on the target and do a ton of damage. Really good for bossing. But this also makes it so critical hits return 3 bullets to the mag and ricochets 3 bullets at the nearest enemy. It shoots 3 bullets per shot. So each crit, provided things work out, automatically refills its own magazine. So you don't even, if you don't want to, you don't have to use leave no trace with this if you don't want to. So you can cut this out completely and take a different route in regards to the skill tree and just use a King's Call with fadeaway and go to absolute town. Now, there does seem to be some nuance in regards to fadeaway that sometimes shots don't crit, because you'd think that every shot that hits would just refill the magazine no matter what, but it seems sometimes that some shots don't refill it, or there's like a slight bug or something. I don't know, it's weird. It's weird. But sometimes the mag doesn't refill, which is why you'll see me reloading sometimes. Same thing with my Hellwalker shotgun. Is sometimes the mag just won't reload, even though I hit the shot and it was a critical. But with the shotgun, you've got so much view kick sometimes that you're just going to miss a bullet every now and then. So it's better to just hip fire and just absolutely burn through things. This is the mouthpiece shotgun. You can farm it off of him. It's unique to him because you can hear when you shoot it, it makes the guitar strum noise. So the little dubstep noise type of thing. That is very good for money shot as well. This is just something I was experimenting with. I use the Hellwalker pretty much most of the game. with this build, and I used a class mod that I have access to, if I can find where my class mod is, that gave me +1 to money shot, putting it to 48%. So that allowed me to just destroy most bosses with 48% chance per pellet to reset my magazine. And yeah, you can see pretty much how that goes. So fantastic gun if you can get one to drop, and will carry you very successfully. I tried using a one-pump chump. It was not that great, I'll be honest with you. It was good in concept, but in practice, not really. Then I've got a casual Fl4k. This is a fantastic shotgun that when you fire it explodes into a ton of pellets. Yeah, does a ton of damage. Now, there's actually something even funnier with this. Torgue weapons can't crit normally, at least to my knowledge, but with fadeaway, they can. And all of these shots also crit. So you can use that as well if you don't have access to your money shot weapons or anything like that. If you have a Fl4k and you want to do a ton of damage, this can also work surprisingly well. I have messed around with just bossing with this, and with this plus Leave No Trace, you can refill your mag pretty often, and this actually works as a very good boss killing weapon. It's one of the highest DPS just base weapons I have currently, so I'm using it for the time where I don't have my action skill up, because you'll see that the downtime that this build has is when its action skill is down. Now, I'll give you a couple ways to rectify that, but realistically, it's just about hitting critical hits, which on some bosses, the crit spots are a massive pain in the ass, so it's not really as doable. Which is why the Fl4k's here, because if we're not going to crit anyways, we might as well optimize the damage. Now, in regards to replacing a Fl4k, I was using a Night Hawken, which is a Stranger Things joke, by the way. This gun is fantastic, and as it goes through the day in regards to like Pandora's time zone, this thing's damage actually goes up. It goes from 412 to 412x2 to 412x3 at midnight. I'm not even kidding, it's kind of a cool dynamic, but that also means the damage isn't really consistent. But this is one of the highest damage SMGs that I've found, and this carried me through most of the game as well. So you can use this in place of a Fl4k or in place of other guns. You can use this with fadeaway as well, and it'll do a ton of damage to bosses if this is all you manage to get. Or, to round things off, a masher or any type of Jacob's pistol that you can get very easily. You can do tons of work. There's a quest when you enter the zone to go get Hammerlock when you're going to the estate. Right as you enter that planet on the left hand side, there's a quest you can do, and he'll give you a masher on level. And if you do that, you have a very good weapon for flak and for money shot stuff, and just tons and tons of damage. This will carry you through most of the game because it works the exact same, because you have 4 shots and it refills a shot based on pellets. You have 5 pellets, 48% chance. You know, do the math, right? Now, in regards to my rocket launcher, this is just something I've been messing around with. It's just a legendary I picked up. You can use anything, it's just to get you up when you go down. I've been messing around with the Atlas stuff, seeing how that goes. Now, in regards to shields and grenades and all that sort of stuff, I'll cover that in just a second. But what makes this build work so well with the exact way I've got it set up, and don't worry, I will explain how to do this the simpler way as well, is my class mod. I have a Giant Slayer Bounty Hunter class mod, which makes it so Fl4k has a 3% chance to activate any purchased hunt kill skill when dealing gun damage. Bosses are now treated as humans, beasts, and robotics for Fl4k's hunt skills. What this means is that I've spec'd into all of the damaging kill skills as much as possible, because they're going to be up 24/7 when you end up with money shot chains and all that sort of stuff. Because especially if you have a gun that does multiple projectiles or, you know, multiple pellets, then you have a 3% chance per pellet to activate all of your kill skills immediately. Considering how many times we're shooting, how many times we're hitting the target, this is up 24/7, which allows us to get really powerful mods like the Most Dangerous Game, which gives us 42% gun damage after killing a badass or stronger enemy, which during a boss fight doesn't really happen very often. So being able to proc this for 42% damage, which also gets +2 from the class mod itself, allows you to start doing some very insane stuff. Now, I've been messing around with a few different things, because it says that bosses are treated as humans, beasts, and robotics. I figured, okay, well, wouldn't that work with Hunter's Eye? But this isn't counted as like a hunter skill, I don't think, unless the hunter skill counts the whole hunter tree, which I don't think it does, because things say, you know, hunter kill skill, etc., etc. But, so as a result, I'm not going for Hunter's Eye personally, but I tried to build with this. It didn't seem that okay. It was kind of average, I don't know. But, yeah, that's kind of how I've been going about things. So, in regards to another class mod, if you don't have the legendary one, the Wolfian Vanishing Head Case is fantastic as well. This gives you +1 to leave no trace, allowing you to money shot that much easier, as well as giving you fast and furious, which gives you a ton of damage while you're above half health. Now, there's a few nuances in regards to health that I want to talk about when I actually get into the build side of things, but yeah, it's a little bit on the odd side. But if you can manage to get this legendary class mod, you will do work. It drops pretty frequently if you're boss farming. I'm playing on Mayhem 3, by the way, in case you were curious about that. That was the mods I just did Troy with, which was minus pistol, SMG, and shotgun damage, which explains why he took so fucking long to kill, but still. Alright, and in regards to the shield and artifact, I'm currently running a transformer for this kill. It converts 100% of shock damage into shields. You basically just have shock resistance. And then I'm using a longbow transfusion to heal me, which is working out pretty well so far, as well as a relic that just gives me action skill cooldown rate. Now, I've been messing around with a couple different things. I have a, a front loader, which reserves 60% of your max health and returns it as shield capacity. So that makes you, have a lot of shields but nuked health. And then combine that with a deathless right here, which gives you plus 100% shield capacity and reserves all but 1 HP. And you're now at like 24k health, roughly, somewhere around there. Now, I haven't done the math, I haven't figured out if this works yet, but Fl4k has things that work in regards to max HP. I don't know, and we'll probably figure out later as time goes on in regards to the Borderlands community figuring all this sort of stuff out, if being on 1 HP total while having it all reserved counts as max. Because if that's the case, then this is how you get some insane damage to be constantly always on max HP, right? But I don't know if that's necessarily how it works. I haven't really been able to do much testing because there's no real target dummy, which kind of sucks, like there was in Borderlands 2. It's something you wouldn't think you really need, but when you're getting down to it, you kind of do. But, yeah, that's the setup that I've been kind of messing with every now and then, but shield recharge rate's kind of a pain on this setup. So it's more of a Moze thing, because Moze has the ability to do the same thing, but give you even more shields. She can probably get like 50k shields. It's pretty insane. So Transformer plus an action skill cooldown rate, class artifact, and you're pretty much in business. Anything else, you can use whatever. Mag size, I don't think you really want, because if you go too high on mag size, there's a chance you end up with 3 bullets in the mag on your money shot weapon, which then kind of bricks it. But at 40%, it's fine, but just action skill cooldown rate. Okay, into the skills, we are going for a standard Stalker setup of 5 points in Furious Attack, 5 points in Overclock. This gives you damage based on like shooting an enemy. Considering we money shot pretty often, you stack this pretty damn fast. Then you get increased fire rate and increased fire rate after reloading. This is just extra damage. Then we get our pet to be able to revive us. This is for playing solo. You could probably skip this if you want to play in a team. It's still useful though. Then you get turn, tail, and run, which is fantastic, but really hard to do in regards to a boss fight. You see me trying to do it most times. This gives you health and damage reduction while moving, but when you're still, you gain damage and fire rate. So when you drop into a boss fight for the first time, or when you're doing a burn phase, you want to stand still. Which, considering I jump around all the time, it's really hard for me to do, but I try my best. And then we've got fast and the furious here. While above half health, Fl4k's gun damage is increased by 25%. This goes up to like 40 or something when he's got the other class mod that gives me +2. So this is a really good alternative if you don't have the Giant Slayer class mod like I have currently. Then we have self-repairing system to give us max health and constantly regen health. Now if we're playing the front loader setup and going for the big shield, don't take self-repairing systems because obviously health regen and all that sort of stuff doesn't actually matter. So you can go for action skill cooldown to kill some trash mobs to try and get your action skill back, or maybe go for like sick 'em or something, or go for hidden machine. Probably put 3 points in here instead if you're able to, and just try and get as much damage out of that as you possibly can. Hidden machine I don't think is that great because most bosses will be targeting you. And then last point we have rage and recover. For after killing an enemy, Fl4k and his pets regenerate health for a few seconds. It's a kill skill, so this procs off of my class mod. And then the power inside, which makes it so that you gain increased damage when Fl4k activates an action skill. If you're at full health, the damage is doubled. As I said, once we figure out if the full health shenanigans is true, then you're always going to have this modifier up when you go into fadeaway with your artifact front loader setup. I don't know if that works. A man can dream. But yeah, it's really hard to get like damage numbers when playing Mayhem because there's so many modifiers that just change things, and trying to get the same modifier rolls is nearly impossible. So there's not really much in the way of testing I can do, and that's sort of a vein there. Then for augments, we have Gorillas in the Mist to let us do money shot bullshit for constant crit hits. And then we have Unblinking Eye for increased critical hit damage per shot. It goes 75, 150, and like 210 or some shit like that, which resets back to 75 after the third shot, which is just bonus crit hit damage. Then obviously we have Fadeaway and the crit hit damage pet to give us a ton of damage. Then in regards to the Master Tree, Persistence Hunter, giving us gun damage and action skill duration. I've been toying around with taking this out and putting this back in and taking it out and all that sort of stuff. I've played with 1 point in Persistence Hunter. It's okay. I've played with 3 points. It's okay. The biggest thing is because bosses phase, I don't know that you really need 3 points because you are giving up extra damage in the Hunter tree. I'll show you what I mean by that in just a second. But if you're fighting against like a no-phase boss, Persistence Hunter is really good. You can just delete them in the 8-second window. But, I don't know. If you're doing like Circle of Slaughter or farming, this is really good for being able to kill more trash. But for most like phase-based bosses, I don't think it's as worth, because you're giving up the ability to get 15% flat crit hit damage from Galactic Shadow, which just gives you more damage over the little span that you're going to be bursting for anyways, because they're going to go into their phase. Alright, so in the Hunter tree, we have Leave No Trace to give us our money shot chance. We have Interplanetary Stalker, which is a kill skill that gives damage per stack, which stacks up to 3 times and will proc off of our class mod. Now, I was playing a loadout where I took Second Intention because it was a kill skill and I wanted to just proc it. But what I realized is that it's reload speed. If I'm money shotting, I'm not reloading, so it's kind of a waste of points. So it's not really worth it. Then head count, if you're going for any sort of mobbing or bosses where you can see their crit spots. This is a really fast way to get your action skill back and allow you to optimize your kills that much more, making it so whenever you score a crit, there's a chance their action skill cooldown is reduced. Well, Flax, they said there because he's like non-binary or some shit. I don't know, it's weird. But that reduces your action skill cooldown whenever you get a crit. And sadly, it doesn't stack with the fadeaway crits or anything like that. You have to hit them outside of fadeaway, but this gets your action skill back very quickly. Then we have Two Fang for extra projectile chance. This works with the Fl4k, by the way, to give you a chance to proc a secondary projectile that does even more damage. This also works with your money shot, which then has a chance to proc the money shot reload. You see what I mean, right? Two Fang is just really good. I've tried running some builds without it. It works. I don't really know if it's that necessary. Obviously, we can't really test the damage numbers. A DPS chart would be incredible, if I'm honest with you. But we don't have that luxury, sadly. And then we have 5 out of 3. Well, 3 out of 3 plus 2 from the class mod into Dangerous Game to give us 42% gun damage, crit hit damage, and handling, as well as this has 120-second duration. So for leveling, this is actually insane as well. You kill one badass, and for 2 minutes, you're just hyped up on like damage. It's pretty good. Now you'll see, I didn't take big game because I'm experimenting in this sort of setup. If I'm honest, it's kind of weird because it has 30% increased effect, but you mostly take it for the duration, and the duration's kind of irrelevant when I'm refreshing it all the time, when I'm refreshing my kill skills. all the time due to my class mod. So they're constantly at full duration, which means the 100% extra duration doesn't really make a difference. Whereas instead I could put these 3 points into Persistence Hunter and get more mileage out of that. Alternatively, I could cut Persistence Hunter and go, what is it? I think it's 1 point here, 1 point in Galactic Shadow, and then I can go either 2 points here or 1 here. So I can go 1, 1, 1, and then get Galactic Shadow damage for 15% flat crit hit, which goes on every bullet, every projectile, every pellet. You see what I mean? You see why it's so fucking good. This was the build I was running. I was going big game, 1 out of 3 dangerous game, Galactic Shadow, and then 1 out of 3 Persistence Hunter with the speed loading Hellwalker, and just destroying things, because I was making sure that this could proc off the class mod, because this would proc off the 3% chance on the class mod, and it lasted like 120 seconds, so I was just, at 1 point, it's bonus damage, might as well, which also goes up from big game and all this sort of stuff. But through my tests, I don't think big game is really that necessary. We'll see how things go later on, once people have more numbers and all that sort of stuff. And once DLCs come out and we can get to higher levels, then I'll get back to you on the possibilities of this build, because this is just going to get better with time and with more levels, because I can have 3 out of 3 here, so we can get to like 52 or 55 or something like that. Then I can also get Galactic Shadow, and Megavore allows you to get a crit with weapons against any part of enemies, which will probably work for a Fl4k as well, and then, you know, Fl4k does even more damage, just like flat off, right? So we'll see how things go in due time, but that is the setup that I have been running. In regards to mobbing, maybe put a point in second intention, go 2 out of 3 here and 1 out of 5 here to give you the ability to proc second intention off the kill skills. Or what I was doing was going 4 out of 5 Interplanetary Stalker and 1 out of 5 second intention. You can also, if you want to run the front loader setup, cut out self-repairing systems and go Eager to Impress to let you get your action skills back faster by killing things. This also depends if you're the one killing things in your team. I wasn't, so I wasn't running Eager to Impress that often. So that is going to round out the build. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below, and if you've been enjoying Fl4k, as well as what class you are playing and who your favorite character is. At least for me personally, I love Fl4k and Zane, but I've watched people play Zane and he's so fucking boring from what I've seen. But his personality is good, you know, so it's give and take. But man, Fl4k is a lot of fun. But at the same time, this build is so fucking powerful, it kind of ruins my want to play any other sort of build or try and make like a rack build or anything like that. But, you know, we'll see how things go in time. Thank you guys very much for listening. As always, take care, gentlemen. Thanks for making it to the end of my video. If you enjoyed it, take a look at the 2 pieces of content you're seeing on screen right now. If you wouldn't mind, you can click that big red button and see more updates from me. And if you want to go even further than that, then you can take a look in the description to find my new Patreon link. You boys gotta keep the lights on somehow.